Liberal policies once again fueling crime mayhem in American cities. It's now easier than ever for violent criminals to get back out on the streets, thanks to woke Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. The soft-on-crime so-called prosecutor has downgraded 52% of felony cases to misdemeanors since taking office. No wonder crime's almost up, 30% this year in the Big Apple? Bragg hitting back, claiming it's a, quote, false data comparison. Chicago becoming the carjacking capital of the country, with 7 cars stolen in just an hour on the city's west side. And it's pure chaos over in Democrat-run Portland. Crime there so bad, store owner had to close her shop for good after getting broken into more than 15 times. Here's what she told America's Newsroom earlier.
I'm hoping that to get it out there to all citizens in this city so that we can mobilize and really try and make some change. It came down to not just the financial side, but the safety of my employees and myself. But I just reached my breaking point.
Could you imagine your shop broken into just a couple times, but 15, Dana?
Right, and I think when she was talking about, Bill interviewed her, and she had received some reimbursement from the city to pay for damages to help her, but it was only for the first 3 break-ins. So she finally had to walk away. She was actually very restrained and complaining about any policies or any politician. But I think that her feet are doing the talking here. And she's going to walk away. The jobs aren't going to be there. The people aren't going to have a nice place to shop. And she does have another business. She's an entrepreneurial person, so she's going to go ahead and do that. The other thing is that Alvin Bragg, I'm sure the judge has a lot more on this, but when he's trying to defend himself, he's blaming policies that he actually supports. So one of them, for example, is he says, well, just on the discovery piece, that it's the discovery fault, meaning that's how long it takes to get information in a case. Well, he supported the new discovery rules. So he's blaming and trying to defend himself, basically saying that the policies I supported are the ones that are causing the problem, and therefore he's not at fault. That is some circular logic.
What kind of track record are those percentages for a prosecutor?
Well, I'm very glad you asked that, Jesse, because I called my former public information officer to find out what it was that we had when I was a district attorney. But first, let me say that calling Alvin Bragg a DA is like calling Jeffrey Dahmer a vegan, okay? This guy doesn't prosecute crime, he forgives crime. Mm-hmm. And the whole concept of, his complaining about the new discovery laws, which are clearly a burden on prosecutors across the state, almost an impossible burden because of the information that's got to be done in a very short period of time, should be easy for him because he's got more money than any DA's office around, probably in the country. Okay, but let's talk about it. Alvin Bragg reduces more than 50% of his felonies to misdemeanors. And we don't know what the conviction rate is of the misdemeanors. Are they then dismissed? Are they then adjourned in contemplation of dismissal? Are they reduced to a violation? Are they? We don't know what happens to them. So let me find the text that they told me. Okay, here we go. My office, when I was a DA, and I was a DA for 3 terms. Guess what my felony conviction rate is? Yeah, and Billy Fitz, if you're watching this, my friend, the DA from Onondaga, he said, what was yours? I said, I don't know. 94.8% conviction rate on felonies.
Boom.
That's an office where we take crime seriously, we're passionate about it, we put we cross our T's and dot our I's. And 84% of all defendants of those were convicted of the highest count. So my message when I was DA in a county of 1 million people was, I'm coming after you. And you're not going to get a plea bargain. And you're not going to get any kind of coddling because you are making my county unsafe for people and ruining business. Mm-hmm. Bragg's message is, hey, come have at it. We're not going to prosecute you.
What do you think?
So Democrats, I've tried to say this on the show before, the pictures, the stories can't or just overwhelm the numbers, these statistics. Democrats enjoy a lopsided advantage in New York City in terms of the registration, in terms of voters. But we doggone near lost the race for governor, and we certainly lost a lot of seats, congressional seats. If I'd have told you 3 months ago that congressional Republicans would have New York State to thank for them having the majority in the House, we might have laughed about it or said maybe that and a few other states that indeed is the case. Not only did Democrats in New York State go out and vote against a Democrat, they voted for a Republican who denied the outcome of last election. Why? Because public safety and crime are incredibly important to people of all backgrounds, wherever they may live in this state. We will not enjoy this advantage if we continue to take in the lackadaisical and irresponsible way as we go about talking about these issues. I know Alvin Bragg, and I like him personally. I would much rather have him, or for that matter, anyone in that office, sit back after the year and say, what's working and what's not working? What more do I need to make more things work? And who are the people who are not making things work? I ought to get rid of them, or the programs that are not working on my behalf, or on behalf of people across this great city, across this great borough. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people in Manhattan, regardless of these numbers, do not feel safe. And we have to address those issues, not only for the Democratic Party, but for the sake of the city.
Okay, what's working and what isn't? How about you prosecute crime? You said you would want him to sit down.
But I want to talk to him. I know, but that's not, I want him to do it. I think.
How about prosecute crime? This is not rocket science.
So he knows Alvin Bragg.
He knows
and likes him
everybody.
Personally.
And there's nobody Harold doesn't like.
Well, there are a few people. They go unnamed.
Yes, just because I left early. Won't let me forget. Okay, so I always try to do strategic empathy, but it's impossible with Bragg, because what if the person never argues about the data? Then you can't actually empathize with them. You want to point to the recidivism and the misery caused by that. And Harold, you agree and you talk about it. But the response is always a variation of, you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. Unfortunately, those eggs are heads in New York City. But it is a long-term kind of goal for police reform, and they're willing to accept these casualties that we aren't, right? And it's getting worse. Meanwhile, the media only sees the back end of a story, not the front end. So now they're reporting on crime. But if they're only there when the story began, when they started talking about bail reform, this would have been a bigger story. It's like they're not reporting the news anymore. They're reacting to the news. I think social media has turned journalists more into like outrage detectors more than they are journalists. So they report on crime like it's weather. They don't report on it like it's actually a real thing.
Right. Strong chance of homicide tonight.
Yes. It's got a 40% chance of felonies, and that's going to go. But it's like, because they only see the back end of the story, something like bail reform just runs right over them. They don't even see it, nor do they care. It would be nice if they actually reported on crime, the effects of these policies on crime, instead of just saying, wow, crime's up 30%. It's even trying to, trying to pull, what do you call it?
I usually can do this with you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like pulling a rabbit out of a hat, trying to get him to talk crime. I don't know anymore.
It works.
Is it almost Friday?
We're almost there, Greg. Coming up, while Joe Biden stiffs American energy, he says it's drill, baby, drill for socialist Venezuela.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.